In last week's profile on Alhaji Musa Musawa, we heard about his good old youthful days, formal education, how he started work, later branching out to broadcasting at the BBC. He eventually came back to the NNDC. Then came the University of Ife, where he went to read public administration.
Now, on my return to Kaduna, instead of going to the NNDC, then I was sent to, by then I think states were created. I was sent to the military governor's office in Kaduna. By then the governor was Alhaji Abba Kyari, or Brigadier Kyari. And the leadership, well, Garbaja was also the secretary to the military government then. So I was sent under him, and then Garbaja posted me to the government office to be the chief of protocol. I was there, chief of protocol at the same time, like senior assistant secretary. Worked for some years, I think 2 or 3 years. Just before the posting came out, I was just about to be posted, I think, to Kachia to be the DO there. Then there was a circular from the federal government that some northern civil servants should be seconded to federal to be able to probably fill a quota in the Ministry of External Affairs. So I was sent to Lagos on like whether transfer or secondment, I think. And then I was there, I started there, I think in 1972 or 73. Now, so I was in Lagos for a year. After I finished my induction course, I was sent to Cambridge University to study Chinese language because I was the first Nigerian, if I can remember, to be given that assignment, a very, very tedious assignment. I tried as much as possible to object. That unfortunately the foreign minister then was, I think, Alhaji Babagana. He called me personally and said, look, you have been seconded to come here and serve. And the instruction is that we want you to go to Cambridge and learn Chinese. I said, but at my age, sir, won't you look for something younger or something? He said, no, that was a decision taken and you had to go. So I went. I was in Cambridge for 2 years and I was quite happy I was given that opportunity. I learned Chinese language both speaking and character-wise. I got about 150 characters and I was able to speak a little bit of Chinese. The idea was that as soon as I was able to pick the language, I was going to be posted to our mission in Peking. So this was unfortunately not the issue. To my surprise, after I spent my time and government spent their money and really I suffered and I was able to speak a little bit of the language. When I came back to Lagos, ready to go to China, then the posting came out. Then I was posted to Uganda instead of China. Then I had no power to reject that. So I went to Uganda instead of China. I was there during the time of President Idi Amin. This was during the wind of change, the revolutionary period of Uganda. It was quite an experience. I stayed there for about 2 years. My ambassador was retired Ambassador Adefope. 2 years in Uganda, then I got a letter I should go to China. But before then I was asked to accompany the foreign minister who was Aripo then, Mr. Okoye Aripo. And General Gowan, then the head of Nigeria or the head of state of Nigeria, gave him a special message to take to India, Pakistan and China and some part of the Far East. So I was included in the delegation because of the simple fact that I could speak a little bit of Chinese. So before I took my position as posted to China, I was asked to go on this tour first. So I undertook the tour, which lasted about 2 months with this foreign minister. We came back, we wrote a report and gave it to the head of state, General Gowan then. Then ready to go to China, I was told not to go to China, I should go back to Uganda again. So I had to go back to Uganda. So after Uganda, then I was asked to go to India again. So I went to India, and in India I was there for quite a long period. For 4 to 5 years I served in India. I was then the head of chancery in New Delhi. My ambassador was Soji Williams, who has now retired. Then when he retired in 1976, before the new ambassador was posted, I was asked to act as an ambassador to India, Nigeria ambassador. Now, I had the opportunity of serving in that capacity for a whole year. Then in 1977, I decided voluntarily to come back home because I had enough of it, for two reasons. First reason was that I had some disagreement with the new ambassador who was appointed then. It's not good to mention names, but this is what has happened. Then from there, I came back to Lagos in 1977. Then, after a short period, I voluntarily retired and went into politics.
Having had so much experience working in our foreign missions, Alhaji Musa Musawa has gathered much on cultures and languages of other nations.
Chinese is the most difficult one, definitely. Other places I've been to is, I told you, Uganda and India. In China, they have got one common attitude. They are very, very, very courteous, Chinese, and they are very, very hospitable. They can give you a lot of hospitality, which you never expect to get from any other nation or any other people. Now, when a Chinese man invites you to his house, or you happens to meet him or anywhere he takes you out, he will try as much as possible when they give you drink or food. The intention is to see that he gives you something to eat and that you cannot even get up to go back home. If it is something, if they want to give you a drink, they will give you something to drink, and by the time you finish, probably all you need to do is to be carried to their bed, and then in the morning they will tell you that, oh, you had a good time yesterday. So each time they give you food, you continue to tell them, "Wachita tai paula." So this means that you have given me enough, and I am to the beam, or to my neck, or to my collar. But they will say, okay, try, keep on. But he keep on telling them, "Wachita tai paula." Now, so at least this is something which I'll never forget. But I told you, Chinese is a very, very difficult language. Now, coming back to India. India, I was there for quite some time. Certainly, I don't speak Indian. But my children, some of them, because I stayed there for 4 years, they still speak very fluent Hindi language. The Ugandans, they speak mostly Swahili. Not only Swahili, they speak another language, which I think is their dialect. That also, I think my wife is an expert on that. I never bothered. I wish she's here. She will certainly give you some few sentences that will interest you. So it is something which I think I was grown up, and certainly since English language is the official language, I was more or less concentrating on that.
Certain people take it as if there was actually a problem with General Idi Amin as of that time. And so many people were wondering why there was never a coup d'etat against him in the country. Are there any reasons why people, is it that the Ugandans liked Idi Amin, or what was the reason for his being able to stay so long in power that it even took somebody else from outside the country to aid in toppling him?
Well, I'm not a military man. I don't think I am in a good position to answer that question, but I think from my experience, I can say if somebody had the opportunity to rule you and he has got all the triggers under his thumb, there is nothing you can do but to accept him, at least until when you are able to plan to get his fingers off the trigger. Now, Idi Amin, I don't think you could be regarded as somebody that they liked so much, but at the same time, he was respected by not only the soldiers in those days, but by the people, because they really wanted to liberate their people, or their people wanted to be liberated from their colonial masters, who were the Asians. This problem of Asians dominating East Africa is not only common in Uganda, but if you go to Kenya now, you will see that Kenya is a miniature of New Delhi. All the shops, the economic life, the social life, the anything you can think of, the political life even. is dominated by the Asians. Those Asians, they call themselves either Ugandans or Kenyans, or they had some British passport or British nationality, and they were very much in the forefront in all the economic activities. Now Uganda was not an exception, and the people really wanted to take reign of affairs of their country, and nobody really came forward to help them. But Idi Amin, for some reason, said he was going to blow the wind of change to take over everything from Asians and hand them back to the Ugandans. So when he overthrew Milton Obote, everybody was jubilant. Probably he hadn't had the academic qualification, you may say, to lead the country. But to be a good leader, and for you to be able to lead your people, you don't need too much of academic qualification. If you've got the qualities of leadership and people like you are honest and you can exchange views and you can communicate with them, you can establish what the French call esprit de corps, you can lead. So at the time when the revolution in Uganda took place, the revolution by means throwing out the Asians and handing over things back to the Ugandans, it was something which I'm sure the Ugandans were very proud of. And when I went there, I found that there was a world of difference between what you see in Uganda and what you may see in Kenya or another neighboring country like Zambia also. Because all the shops were then taken by the Ugandans. All the commercial activities were done by the Ugandans. If you come to Kenya, you will find that every shop you go in Kenya is owned, manned, controlled by an Asian. A Kenyan, they are just there as shop boys or some kind of assistants. So Idi Amin really tried for his people. But somehow he got himself mixed up. In some way he was administering the country. He was, from all indications, already probably not only to drive Asians out of Uganda, but also to drive Europeans, expatriates, English, Americans, Canadians, and what have you. And I think that's where he started to got himself into trouble. You simply can't do everything in one go, put everything, say you must finish it at one time. I think that was the mistake he made. When he started that, then the British started campaigning against him, plotting to overthrow him through some means of international mafia. And that's how it started. But believe you me, he started very well. And the idea behind his mind was to hand over Uganda to the Ugandans. But in the course of doing that, probably he, like I said, got mixed up somewhere. So I give him credit for what he has achieved. If you go to Uganda today, you will hardly see any Asians. Even though they are not stable and their economic progress is not something to be proud of. But you got to put things in their perspective order. There is not much resources coming out of Uganda. They are dependent on one way or the other. I don't think they have got anything which can help them really to get solution to all the economic problems they may have, and including political, because during his time and other leaders, they eliminated most of the leaders who were really capable of running the country. And I think today they are trying to bring a new breed.
After foreign service, he retired. Now, what happened after retirement?
Well, I retired and I went into politics straight away. What I didn't tell you was what prompted me to retire from service. I told you I was in India. But for some reason, when I was in school in Kano, I told you I attended Kano Middle School, which is today called Room for College. Late Mala Aminu Kano, may his soul rest in peace, was one of our teachers. And I so much admired him during the school days. By then I think he had visited somewhere, either Soviet Union or America, and he had all his degrees, and he came back and he was teaching, and he started teaching in Kano Middle School. Now I admired him, and then I became very much one of his followers then. Then when I was in service in 1977, I think the military prepared a political program then. They said they were going to hand over to civilian in 1979. So because I was in contact with late Aminu Kano, when I came back to Lagos, each evening we used to go to his house. Remember people like Abubakar Rimi, one Adamu Muhammad, who is called Adamu Bulkachua, Edi Muhammad, Haruna Adamu, Ibrahim Tahir. Very few of us, we all used to go to his house. By then he was a commissioner under that government, either Gawan or somebody, or it was after Murtala, I don't know. So he more or less was giving us some kind of indoctrination, telling us to kindly arrange to go into politics or get into politics or try to come and help. If the military will hand over, why can't some of us try to come and help? You know, this kind of thing. And somebody you so much like and you admire for so long, if you really give you advice, you may be, you know, tempted to accept it. So I voluntarily retired and then decided to go into politics. And this is how it started. I was in politics from 1979, I would say, to 1983. And I got myself very much involved in politics. I need not to explain anything on that issue. I think I was hard enough and I had said enough.
There are so many options, but probably there was one reason why you decided to be with Malam Aminu Kano and the party that you formed after that. Was there any special reason why you decided for that option?
Well, I like his philosophy of coming out to help the Talakawas. I like his philosophy of what you call democratic humanism, which he had wanted to introduce in Nigeria. And I'm somebody who doesn't like to stay in one place. Being a civil servant, you just sit on the desk and you formulate ideas. I prefer really to be in politics at that time, whether under the leadership of Malam Aminu or anything else. Because I told you my experience back in Europe has pumped in something into my brain about political life. I had visited the House of Commons on so many occasions. I reported so many debates in the House of Commons to our listeners in Africa. And I had seen how really democracy was put into practice. Now, if people can get up to talk and shout and then make government to provide something, good amenities to the people, through that kind of method which is called political structure. So why not in Nigeria, if that is introduced, why can't I go into it? So really not only because of my liking of Malam Aminu, because I think I was very much interested in seeing how democracy was practiced in Europe. So I thought in Nigeria probably we're going to do the same. So I decided the best thing is I go into politics, not necessarily because I wanted to hold a public office, but because I thought I could help in the awakening and teaching of our people what politics is all about. Ask people to think of their rights, ask for their rights, and to know that the government is for the people, by the people, and solely made for the people to benefit out of that. So that was really what prompted me, and I still have no regret that I was in politics, and I still look forward to another opportunity.
You say you still look forward to another opportunity, sir. It means you might be having certain ideas in you, that is about the future of what you could contribute to either the political scene, or let's put it this way, to the social life of this country. Okay. Is there anything you'd like to say about this? That you must have had certain ideas in you that you want to portray, or you want to let out, or you want to make it physically felt? Is there anything that you have in mind that you'd like to talk about?
Well, it's very difficult to be very precise on this. I must tell you that probably it's too early to go into this. As soon as the opportunity permits, you understand what I mean, as soon as opportunity permits, I certainly, and people like me or our group, will come out with something. We are really very determined to help in the, political development of Nigeria. Come what may, no matter what the difficulties are, hoping that things are going to be right or equal as time goes on. At one time I said I may not be interested in going back into politics, but I said if I would be interested to go, or I'll be invited to go, I would have to make sure that certain things are put in the right order, that some guidelines are given, some steps are taken to sort of make sure that if there is going to be another political structure in Nigeria, the present administration must take steps to make sure that everything must be done democratically, and that opportunity should be given to people to vote for their candidates, and that candidate should be given the opportunity to serve the people who put him in office. Now, during the last republic, a lot of shortcomings became apparent. Probably that was the reason why the military came. Now, if they haven't been in office for so long and they now wish to hand over, I would certainly like to participate. But I must make sure that I've got my things in their right order. I have prepared my priorities. If this is done and this is done, probably I'll be interested. Or if I'm given the opportunity to advise the government, certainly when the opportunity comes, I think people will be asked to say what they think about either the present structure or the present political program. Then I will make my contribution. And if I see that things are going to be as I think they should be, that we are not returning to the status quo during the Second Republic, then certainly I will go. But if things are confused and I see no sign of getting some democracy out of the whole structure, certainly I will be one of the non-starters. I'll just watch. And there are other things also one has to sort of, I think Nigeria had gone through so many phases of forward ever, backward never, and sometimes now backward yes, forward never, or that kind of thing. I sincerely hope that from this time we should have some kind of leadership. We should have a new social or new political order that will carry Nigeria forward, never backward. I hope we shall have no more coups again, because we really had enough. I hope the people that are going to be handed over, or the military, before they hand over to the next batch of the Third Republic, they should examine facts and figures and make sure these people will carry Nigeria. Not those that really want to get something out of Nigeria, but those that would contribute and make Nigeria great. After we had independence 28 years now, I think time has come when Nigeria should be projected as a United States of Africa, not only as Nigeria. So it is a question of let's wait and see. We have seen the package of the political program. I can say so far so good, but there are many areas where a big question mark is there. One has to get some clarification before one gets into some kind of commitment. But believe me, I'm determined to be or not to be.
Just like the saying of old William Shakespeare, to be or not to be. Well, time will tell. You have been listening to the second part of the profile on Alhaji Musa Musawa. Next week, we delve into his philosophy of life, hobbies, and family.